Hello and welcome aboard. It's Friday, February 26th, 2021. I'm going to do a short video here on some costs associated with this building I got here. It's a 26 by 30 metal building. Maybe some things you didn't think of, costs you might not have thought of, things like that. If anything you want me to go into more detail on, just let me know, leave a comment. I have all receipts and I'm very familiar with this building. I have done a lot of work in it, but I also hired a lot of it out. First things first, the gate here. I had to get a gate back there. I did hire this out. It's 40 feet long, I think, 6-foot cedar pickets, and that cost $2,200 just for the gate, or just for the fence. There's 3 gates in here, 2 6-foot gates and 1 5-foot gate. So all the gate work is what really costs the money. Going back here, the concrete. I wanted the concrete just gradually sloped up to the building because I don't know what kind of cars I'm going to have going in and out of here as far as how low they are. So this concrete here, it's I think 16 or 17 feet wide and 21 feet long. It's 4 inches thick. And it goes up to the building here, and that was $2,800. And I do live in the Waco, Texas area. So these are all prices that I guess are current as for the date and time and the area. Yours might be more or less based on where you're at. Just a back shot of the gates here. When they put the concrete in, the gates didn't work anymore because the gate was the first thing, and then the building was the second, and then the driveway was the third thing to be put in. So the concrete guys just dropped the gates on the ground and they wouldn't open, so I had to fix the gates myself. Cut a couple inches off the bottom, and if you can see the edges, they won't, because of the slope, they won't make it either. So I cut a little V about 2 feet wide on each gate, barely noticeable. I just wanted that crisp line at the top that you see from the street, because that does face the street there. I did bore a couple holes. The concrete guys didn't want to do that either, so I think it was $30 concrete bit, like a hole saw kind of thing at one of the box stores. I put it on my hammer drill, just drilled down a little bit so I can get these gates to not flop around in the wind. 6 feet tall, they will catch a lot of wind. If you leave your gate open like this, today it's not windy, but if you leave your gate open, it will slam shut, and I just didn't want it slamming a whole bunch on this gate because you don't need to tear up the gate. Also, wind will catch it if it's open. If I got expensive vehicles going in and out of here from the shop, I don't want the gate slamming on it when the wind hits it, so I did drill another hole out here to prop this gate open, and then I did another little 1/2-inch hole over here with that little prop rod to keep that gate open in case I was driving a lawnmower through it or something. Over here, I just took a fence post connector top rail and just buried it in the ground. That's for that other door there. Now, on to the shop. Shop is 26 feet by 30 feet. The color is taupe, and the roof is galvalume, which is just like a silver metal, no paint. Everything's going to vary depending on the company you use to build this thing. They all vary with what they include and what they don't include. The one I used did not include windows because they said there are hundreds of different windows and styles, and they wanted the customer to be happy. So I bought these windows. They were $365 for the pair, just at one of the local box stores. Yeah, 3 feet by 3 feet, and you can put them anywhere you want. I just wanted them kind of in the middle, kind of equally divided between the edges of the building. On the outside of the building too, seamless guttering. That was $360. That's 26 feet long and 2 downspouts, which are about 11 feet. Now, the word of advice on this concrete, I wanted underground drains, so I picked up the drains from the shop as well as the drains from the house, and they go right alongside where the soccer ball's at, over my garden hose, and they go right on this side of that gate, but they are underground. So I buried a 4-inch corrugated pipe and a 1/2-inch irrigation line just to water that tree over there. So you just want to think about what you're going to do in the future. Maybe you want to bury a 2-inch PVC pipe just for electricity or whatever you want. That way you're not having to break up concrete or find a way to get electricity across your wide driveway. Going over here, one of the first things I did when I got this building, I was like, hey, I am in the city limits. What do I need to do? So I went and talked to the city a couple different times, and they said I have to do setbacks, which is how far you got to be away from stuff. And they said I can do 2 feet on the side. That's 2 feet there. And then I have to do 7.5 feet on the back because I do have electrical lines back there. I could have went bigger on this building. Another thing they said is it can't be more than 30% of the backyard. That means I could have made this thing over 1,000 square feet, but I just didn't want it. It's pretty close as it is to the house. I still wanted to be able to drive lawnmowers and not be too close to the house. Looking at the building here, we got a 16-foot by 8-foot garage door. It is insulated. And like I said about the company, they're all different. Now you can go to a company and say, hey, do everything for me, but they're gonna charge you. They need to get their cut if they hire someone to do it. So the company I hired, they did the concrete foundation and they did the building. And I subcontracted everything else out. They do have a concrete person that they could have done this driveway. It was way more expensive. They did have a person to do the gutters, but that was way more expensive. And they also had a person to do the garage door, which was also about $700 more expensive. This garage door with the opener was a total of $2,300. I did have an opener in the middle there, and it hung too far down into the room because the door is 8 feet, but the middle of the building is 11 feet. I just didn't like that, so I got one of the side, I don't know what you call those, a side-mounted garage door opener, I guess. Comes with 2 garage door openers, and just like everything else, it has an app you can download on your phone. You can use your phone as a garage door opener. A word about pitch on this roof. This roof is a 112 pitch, so every 12 inches it goes up 1 inch. So I asked how much more for a 412 pitch to make it look more like the house, and they said it was an additional $450 to pitch this roof more. So I said no thank you. Also, another thing the city told me I could not do is put up anything higher than 10 feet. So from the floor to the top of that plate there is 10 feet. I couldn't go any higher, so it'd be really hard to get a hydraulic jack in here, a car jack. The skylights came with the building. As additional $1,500 for this I-beam. They told me it'd hold 1,000 pounds. I don't know why it's $1,500, but it's just an I-beam, 8 feet long. They welded up there. Due to the sloping ground, I had them build a 6-inch stem wall around the edge. That was an additional $1,500 for the concrete guys. The concrete is 4 inches thick. I think it's 3,000 or 4,000 PSI concrete. It does have an 18-inch footing, so around the foundation here is 18 inches deep worth of concrete, so you can put a whole other building on top of this one. What else? The metal building guys put up that plate for the garage door. I got the runaround on that. The garage door people said that's the metal building guys. The metal building guys said it's the garage door guys. And I just said, well, I need it up there, so somebody needs to put it up there. I just wanted the concrete guys and the metal building guys to be from the same person. That way, these buildings bolt together all kinds of different ways. Some bolt, some weld. So I just wanted to make sure that they were all complementary. So this building is all welded. That's 4x4 box steel for the support structure. And then we have a 4-inch wide C channel. That's C as in Charlie. The insulation is a closed cell 1 inch. It's fairly hard. And it does do quite a good job on soundproofing. So the order of things I did is first I contacted the city. I got my permits. It was $180 just for permits. I had to get 1 permit for the building and concrete and 1 permit for the electrical. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on the electrical. After the concrete was poured, they came in and built the building. It was 4 people. It took them 3 days to build this building. And then after the building was built, then the insulation came in. So it's 1 inch closed cell, like I said, and it took them, gosh, 1 day, and that was it. They were gone. This stuff, as soon as they sprayed on, they told me probably within 5 or 10 seconds, it's dry, and it doesn't expand very much, but it is a lot harder than the stuff that you put in houses. After the insulation was done, I then painted this with my sprayer. I just used a spray gun because I couldn't imagine using a roller or a paintbrush on this. So I just used a big commercial sprayer and sprayed this. Took about 8 gallons of paint. So go to your local store, 8 gallons of paint. That's what it costs. I painted all the walls and the ceiling, and I put up 6 sheets of plywood on here because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Maybe some cabinetry, maybe some hooks for rakes or whatever. And then I wanted stuff off the floor so I could have room to park my vehicles in here. So there's 2 more sheets of 3/4 inch plywood. And then just some odds and ends, parts and pieces. That's all thread. That's some big washers and some nuts, all holding that up. So that can hold quite a bit of weight. That's screwed into the C-purlins up there into the roof. The lighting is LED. It's direct wire, so all the ballasts were taken out of these. I did all the electrical in here. I'll do another video on that, like I said. And there's 8 of them in here. So the fixtures were cheap, but the ballast, or correction, the light bulbs were expensive. I think it was $80 for a 10-pack. And going down here to the floor, this is the first time I've been in here since I did the floor. This was done, a couple days ago, and I'm finally walking in here today. This floor is about $5 a square foot, roughly. And my total bill, I paid them yesterday, $3,955. So that's for the whole floor. You can't buy this stuff at any of your box stores. I think it looks great. It's got some shark bite in it, which is just kind of like a sand almost. So when the floor gets wet, it doesn't get slippery. One thing I would have done differently is these windows. They are 3x3, but as you see, I have them up all the way. And that right there is only about 13, 14 inches. And due to the size of the building, I wanted to put heating and air in here. So I wanted just a window unit. Well, no window unit big enough to heat and cool this space will fit in there. So then I was looking, what options do I have? Well, I went with this mini split. This is a Senville 18,000 BTU. I think it's 19 SEER. I can't remember, don't quote me on that. That was $899. I think I found that on Amazon. I did all that myself. Lower right-hand corner there on that plywood is the remote for it. And I can go into more detail on that if you want. I did install that all myself. I didn't hire anybody, and it does come pre-charged, so you don't, there are a couple tools you need, about $100 worth of tools, and then you can do it all yourself. And it took me a couple days to do it. What else? I didn't want a shortage of any receptacles, so I've got a whole bunch out here. This is a 100 amp service coming to here because I wanted to run possibly a welder and an air compressor in here. And who knows what else, so I didn't want it to be underpowered. I also have a low voltage in here. I'll go into more detail on that in my electrical video, but that's a 2-inch PVC and a 1-inch PVC for the low voltage stuff, cable and internet. It's just odds and ends. A lot of this stuff, I've been going multiple times back to the box stores, trying to get this piece, trying to get that piece, and it's just multiple trips, so it takes a long time. All said and done, you're looking at about $30,000 for this building. The building itself was, just for the building and the concrete, that's looking at $5,600 for the concrete, about $4,000 for labor, and then about $6,300 or so for the metal. And it all came on the back of a flatbed truck. So the building was, I guess, relatively inexpensive, but you factor in the insulation, the door, the windows, all the plywood, everything else I put in here, it adds up. And I just want to show you this shelf here. I built this shelf. I drilled through the metal and put some wood screws in these 2x4s. I put those 2x4s in before they blew the insulation. And then I also put a 2x4, shadow's kind of bad. I put a 2x4 where I built that electrical conduit for the outside light. And all I did with that was just cut a small piece of 2x4 and just put liquid nails on it and stuck it to the back of the metal. And then they sprayed their insulation on top of it. That was just bracing for my exterior light. And then also I did before insulation is I knew I wanted air conditioning out there. And so that's kind of electrical wire out there. So one electrical wire and these 2x4s and then a brace above the door is all I did before insulation. Everything else was after insulation because I wanted it to look good and not have insulation splatter on it. overspray, that kind of thing. Going outside here. Another picture of the seamless guttering there. The air conditioner heater out here, that Senville, I poured that concrete pad myself. Took 2 bags of concrete, just some 2x4s. I screwed them together with some 3-inch screws. I got a little mixing bucket and 2 bags of concrete. Let it dry and set that thing on there. I think it's about $45 for this line set cover thing. I just wanted that to look good because it kind of sticks over the fence. I didn't want to looking all ugly. Other than that, I think that's about it. Like I said, this ground slopes from where I'm standing towards the front there, so that's why that 6-inch stem wall is all the way around it. Overall, happy with the building. Can't wait to start using it. Gonna put an old car in there, old 63 Impala. I'm gonna start doing a frame off on that. And I'm gonna have to put some more shelving in. I need to build in here in the corner, I'm gonna build another L-shaped bench down there, like a workbench. And also in the corner over there is cable and internet. I did wire that up in there so I can watch more YouTube and figure out how to do some of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is researching, watching YouTube, asking people questions, asking for references, that kind of thing. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything you want more detail on, I just wanted to make this video kind of, I guess it's 16 minutes, so it's kind of long, but I can go into more detail on any of this stuff you want to. But like I said, about $30,000 for this whole thing. It's 26 by 32. 26 by 30 is the outside dimensions, but that stem wall on the outside is 6 inches deep, so I've lost a foot all the way around. So it's actually like 25 by 29, but I built it because my full-size truck does not fit in my current garage, but it will fit in this one. Gives me about 5 feet behind it. And it's a full-size Ram truck, 1500 crew cab. And yeah, about 4 feet behind it with the door shut, so I can get whatever I need to in here, and I can get my car in here whenever I get that. So if you guys have any comments or anything you want me to go more detail in, let me know. Thanks.